Some machines die at 4,000 hours, others are still trenching after 40 years, on their third owner with the original engine block. In January 2025, JCB built its 1 millionth backhoe loader, a machine invented in a converted cheese factory back in 1953. But not every backhoe earned that kind of legacy. Some were rushed, some were brilliant, and 10 of them became the machines contractors refused to sell, refused to scrap, and refused to stop talking about. Number 10. Volvo BL71 and BL71B. Volvo is the newcomer on this list, and that's exactly why it deserves the spot. Volvo actually has a longer history here than most people realize. Between 1965 and 1997, the company built all-round excavator loaders in various forms. Then it stopped, and for a few years Volvo simply didn't have a backhoe loader to sell, a strange gap for a company that dominated articulated haulers and wheel loaders. That changed in 2001, when Volvo Construction Equipment began developing an entirely new backhoe loader range of its own design. The first machine was shown publicly in March 2002, and the family grew into the BL60, BL61, BL70, and BL71. Followed by the BL61 Plus and BL71 Plus. In 2011, Volvo launched the redesigned B Series, the BL61B and BL71B, with operating weights spanning roughly 7.1 to 9.8 tons and gross power from 64 to just under 75 kilowatts, which is around 86 to 100 horsepower. So why does a relatively young machine make a reliability list? Because of how it was built. Volvo's approach was to take the strength and simplicity of its wheel loader and marry it to the power and performance of its excavator in a single stable platform. The chassis, loader arm and excavator boom were made from high-quality steel and robotically welded as one-piece structures. That's a manufacturing decision, not a marketing one. Robotic welding gives you consistent, repeatable weld penetration in exactly the places where backhoe loaders crack first: the loader tower, the boom foot, the king post. Combine that with the roomier care cab, pilot joysticks, and a single-handed multifunctional loader joystick on the B Series, and you get a machine that operators didn't fight, which matters enormously because an operator who isn't fighting the controls isn't slamming the machine into the ground all day. The BL71 was never the best-selling backhoe on earth. It never had to be. It just had to be built properly. And on the used market today, that Volvo steel is still holding. Number 9. Komatsu WB Series. Komatsu built its reputation on excavators and dozers, not backhoes, which makes the WB Series a bit of an underdog story. The line most people know in North America started with the WB 140 and WB 150 machines running around 87 to 94 horsepower with an operating weight near 19,700 pounds and a synchro power shuttle transmission. Then came the -5 generation, the WB 142.5 at roughly 76 horsepower, the WB 146.5 at about 88.6 horsepower with a 14'6" digging depth, and the WB 156.5 at about 95 horsepower with 15'6" of reach. In Europe, Komatsu also ran the side-shift WB91R, WB93R, and WB97 machines, with the WB93R2 delivering close to 98 horsepower and a 16'3" dig depth. Here's where the WB earned its reputation. Komatsu didn't cheap out on the hydraulics. The WB 146.5 used a variable displacement piston pump instead of the simple gear pumps that a lot of budget backhoes lived with. A variable displacement piston pump only moves the oil you're actually asking for. That means less wasted flow dumping over a relief valve, less heat generated, cooler oil, and critically, longer seal and hose life. Heat is what kills hydraulic systems. Komatsu designed around that. The transmission was a synchronized gearbox with a power shift shuttle, which gave operators smooth directional changes without hammering the driveline. Combine that with Komatsu's own engines and the same heavy structure philosophy the company applied to its excavators, and you get a backhoe that quietly outlasted its sales numbers. And that's the interesting part. The WB Series never dented JCB or Case volumes. Komatsu was fighting for scraps in a market other people owned. But go looking on the used market today and you'll find WB 146s with serious hours still working, often in the hands of owners who bought them cheap precisely because the badge wasn't fashionable and then discovered they'd bought a tank. Underdogs age well when they're overbuilt. Number 8. Massey Ferguson. 50. Before JCB owned the world, Britain had a second backhoe dynasty, and it started in Manchester. The Massey Ferguson backhoe story goes all the way back to 1959, when production began on what the company called the 3-in-1, a tractor, digger, and shovel in a single machine. By 1966, the range had grown into the 3303 and 3305 models, and Massey was already innovating. The MF 250 loader used a mechanical self-leveling bucket to cut down on spillage while lifting and lowering, and the 252 side-shift backhoe introduced Massey's patented Hydroslide mechanism with hydraulic clamping. Then, in 1972, came the machine this entry is really about, the MF 50B. The 50B brought a new safety cab and improved loader and backhoe performance. But the detail that tells you everything about how it was engineered is smaller than that. The 50B included automatic end-of-stroke cushioning in the backhoe boom cylinder. Think about what that means. Every time an operator runs a cylinder to the end of its travel, which happens hundreds of times a day, the rod slams into the end cap. Do that for 10 years and you destroy cylinders, you crack mounting ears, you fatigue the boom. Massey engineered a hydraulic cushion so the cylinder decelerated itself at the end of stroke. That is a durability feature disguised as a comfort feature, and it's a big reason these machines survived. In 1984, the MF Industrial Division introduced a power shuttle transmission with synchromesh gear shifting and soft shift direction changes, again, kinda to the driveline. The story doesn't end with Massey. In 1992, a management buyout of MF Industrial created the Fermic brand. In 1993 came the Series 90 range, the 750, 860, 865, and 965. Case bought Fermic in 1996, then sold it to Turex in 2000, which is when the machines changed from yellow to white. In 2003, backhoe production moved from Manchester to Coventry, so when you see a Terex backhoe today, you're looking at a bloodline that started in Manchester in 1959. That's a 60-plus year engineering inheritance, and the 50B is where it hit its stride. Number 7. Case 580, Super M and Super N. We'll get to the ancestor later. Right now, let's talk about how Case kept the crown for half a century. The modern chapter really begins in 1987, when the 580K arrived to replace the 580 Super E and ran through 1994. The 580K brought in the Cummins 4390, a 4-cylinder 3.9-liter direct injection diesel rated around 65 horsepower, and it introduced wet multiplate disc brakes into the small frame Case backhoe line for the first time. That brake change matters more than the engine. Dry brakes on a backhoe are a consumable. They wear, they contaminate, they fade, and replacing them is a full day's work. Sealed wet multi-disc brakes run in oil, don't ingest dust and water, and routinely outlast the machine's second engine. It's the single most underappreciated reliability upgrade in backhoe history. Alongside the 580K sat the turbocharged 580 Super K, using the 4T390 version of the same Cummins at around 75 horsepower. The 580L followed from 1995 to 1999. Then came the M Series family, the 580M, 580M Turbo, 580 Super M, 580 Super M Plus, and 590 Super M. With Case's Pro control system, optional pilot controls, and hydraulic quick couplers on both the loader and the backhoe, so operators could swap attachments from the seat. Around 2010, Case replaced the M Series 3 with the N Series, the 580N, 580 Super N, 580 Super N Wide Track, and 590 Super N. All ran 4.5-liter turbocharged engines ranging from 79 horsepower in the 580N up to 108 horsepower in the 590 Super N, and Case added power lift, which channels hydraulic power directly to the boom at the touch of a button. The 580 Super N is still in production today, still wearing the Construction King name, and it's still the machine Case builds its reputation on. In December 2024, the company released a limited JI Case Signature Edition, Only 50 machines, 97 horsepower, silver and dark gray, with the founder's signature on individually numbered badge plates. Case also says its 580 EV, which reached commercial release in 2024, was the industry's first commercially available electric backhoe loader. 60+ years, same badge, same job. Number 6. Ford 555 and 555B. If you grew up around small contractors or family farms in North America, you have seen this machine, possibly hundreds of them. The Ford 555 arrived in the late 1970s and ran into the mid-1980s, powered by Ford's 201 cubic inch 3-cylinder diesel, a 4.4 by 4.4 inch bore and stroke, 16.3:1 compression, producing around 55 to 57 horsepower at 2,200 RPM and 160 pound-feet of torque, down at just 1,200 RPM, 6 forward gears, 4 reverse, operating weight around 13,750 pounds as a backhoe. Then came the alphabet. The 555A ran from January 1984 through June 1985. The 555B took over from July 1985 and ran through the late 80s. The 555C followed around 1989 into 1992, and the 555D arrived in 1992, the first of the line to switch from 3 cylinders to 4. Why is a 3-cylinder tractor engine on a reliability list? Because of that torque curve. Peak torque at 1,200 RPM means the machine does its work at low engine speed. Low RPM means lower piston speed, lower bearing loads, less heat and less wear per hour of digging. Machines that make their power down low simply last longer than machines that have to scream to move dirt. The other reason is parts. The 555 shares an enormous amount of DNA with Ford's agricultural tractors, which means for decades you could walk into a dealership and buy service parts off the shelf. A machine you can actually fix stays alive. A machine you can't doesn't. Now, honest talk. Because reliability lists that pretend machines are perfect are useless. The 201 block has a known weakness: cavitation erosion, especially in machines that got neglected on coolant. Owners who ran the correct coolant with the right additive package and never ran them low or overheated got extraordinary life out of them. Owners who didn't cooked pistons. That's the 555's real lesson. It wasn't bulletproof. It was forgiving, cheap to feed, and easy to repair. And that combination has kept more of them working than raw toughness ever could. Ford's construction equipment business eventually passed to Fiat's New Holland operation in the early 1990s, and the 555 badge lived on into that era. Number 5. Caterpillar 416. Caterpillar came to the backhoe party 30 years late. Then it did something almost no manufacturer does. It did its homework first. Cat introduced its first backhoe loader, the 416, in November 1985. But the project had started years earlier, out of an internal product strategy conference, with a team of just 5 people: Jim Backhoes, Wes Levick, Dean Rowader, Jim Marks, and Bob Humpage. By 1982, the project had grown to include engineering, manufacturing, purchasing, materials, and quality staff from both the United States and the United Kingdom. Here's the number that matters. Before Cat cut metal, the company ran 5 years of market and user studies, thousands of hours of competitive product evaluations, and close to 2,000 customer interviews, specifically to work out what people needed but weren't getting from the backhoes already on the market. Then they engineered it properly. Computer-aided design and finite element analysis were used throughout the machine's creation, and the main frame, boom, stick, and loader arms were all laboratory tested under maximum stress conditions to make sure the structures would achieve their design life. That is the whole reliability story in one paragraph. Cat didn't guess where the machine would crack. They calculated it, then tested it to failure in a lab, then built it stronger. The 416 was a center-mount machine developed primarily for the American market, co-developed by a design team in Peoria, Illinois, and the manufacturing team in the UK, and built at Cat's Leicestershire operation. The first model aimed squarely at the UK market was the A-Series 428, which Cat marketed with the line, "It's not just a backhoe loader, it's a Cat." Then came the generations: B-Series from 1989 to 1996, C Series 1996 to 2001, D Series 2001 to 2006, and E Series from 2006. By 2010, Caterpillar had sold close to 250,000 backhoe loaders worldwide, a remarkable figure for a company that at launch had built its whole reputation on giant earth-moving iron, and for whom these were the smallest machines in the range. Today, the family runs from the 415 up to the 450, with the Cat C 3.6 engine meeting EPA Tier 4 final and EU Stage 5. 40 years in, the 416 badge is still on the price list. That's the endorsement. Number 4. John Deere 310 Series. Very few machines in any industry get to celebrate 50 years under the same model number. The Deere 310 is one of them. It started in 1971 with the JD 310, 50 horsepower machine. That's it, 50 horsepower, mechanical everything, and a design brief of dig, load, don't break. In 2021, John Deere marked 50 years of backhoe loader production, and the company's own product manager framed the anniversary as half a century of reliability and customer value. The 310 evolved through the 310B in the early 80s, the 310C in the mid to late 80s, and the 310 SE. Before hitting the generation a lot of contractors still consider the sweet spot, the 310 SG ran from 2000 through 2007. It was the Super G, the contractor-grade version, and the recipe was consistent across every supermodel Deere built. Take the standard machine of that generation, then reinforce it. Heavier-duty loader arms, a reinforced backhoe boom and stick, beefier swing tower components, more aggressive hydraulic settings, same EPA Tier 2 PowerTech engine, same power shuttle drivetrain, same cab as the standard 310G, but structurally built for production work rather than occasional work. That distinction is why the SG machines are still commanding money on the used market, while lighter-built competitors from the same years have been parted out. The line kept going. The 310 SJ from 2007 to 2011 brought Tier 3 compliance, electro-hydraulic controls, and auto-shift transmission options. The 310 SK ran from 2012 to 2019 with the PowerTech E4045 HT073 engine and an operating weight around 14,700 pounds, and the current 310 SL added pressure-compensated load-sensing hydraulics. Deere states the redesign delivers 16% greater productivity in trenching over the previous design, better multifunctioning, smoother control, and up to 15% more craning capacity in lift mode. There's also the 310 LAP, introduced in 2012 for buyers who wanted simplicity back, a Synchromesh manual transmission, a more basic operator station, and a Yanmar 3.3-liter engine meeting EPA Final Tier 4. And Deere has been working on the next chapter too, a battery electric backhoe developed in partnership with National Grid, targeting the performance of a 100-horsepower 310L with zero tailpipe emissions. 50-plus years on one model number. That doesn't happen by accident. Number 3. JCB4 CX. The 3CX is the famous one. The 4CX is the tough one. The difference is immediately visible. The 4CX comes standard with 4 equal-sized wheels and all-wheel steering. That makes it far more capable as a loader and considerably more stable on rough ground. Bigger frame, bigger axles, more machine. But the reason the 4CX is sitting at number 3 isn't a spec sheet. It's a military contract. In 2003, JCB started a program to build a machine for the United States Army called the High Mobility Engineer Excavator, the HMEE. To build it, JCB used the technology of the 4CX backhoe loader, combined with technology from its fast-track high-speed tractors. The result is a backhoe loader that can travel at highway speed, roughly 60 miles per hour, so it can keep pace with a military convoy instead of being trailered. The HMME has been built at JCB's plant in Pooler, Georgia, with armor integrated by an American supplier. It's offered in progressive protection levels, an unprotected A-kit, a B-kit with applique and transparent armor, and a C-kit theater entry standard with a blast mitigation belly plate, internal spall liner, slat armor, and capacity for electronic countermeasures. Depending on configuration, it weighs between roughly 14 and 16 tons. More than 900 had been built as of 2020, and it's been used by the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, Belgium, Denmark, Germany, Ireland, Israel, New Zealand, Spain, Sweden, and Ukraine, seeing service in Afghanistan and in Ukraine. Think about what that certification actually means. Multiple defense ministries independently assessed a commercial backhoe platform and concluded it could survive combat engineering work in war zones at the end of a fragile supply chain, where a breakdown isn't an inconvenience, it's a casualty risk. And there's one more detail. When JCB produced its 1 millionth backhoe loader in January 2025, the machine that rolled off the line to mark the milestone wasn't a 3CX, it was a 4CX. The company picked its own toughest machine for its biggest moment. Number 2. Case 580. CK Construction King. Before there was a backhoe industry, there was one man and one machine. The story starts in 1957, when Case introduced the 320, the world's first factory-integrated tractor-loader backhoe. Before that, contractors made do with farm tractors, carrying loader attachments, and sometimes jury-rigged backhoes bolted on the back. The 320 was the first one purpose-built for construction, in the factory, as one machine. The man behind it was Elton Long, a mechanical engineer, who came to Case in 1956 through the company's acquisition of American Tractor Corporation. Over 28 years at Case, he received 46 patents for designing and improving construction equipment. Leading the team that created the first fully factory-integrated loader backhoe was his biggest contribution, and arguably one of the most consequential engineering decisions in construction history. Which brings us to the 580CK, the Construction King, produced from the mid-1960s through 1971, when the 580B took over. The engineering was deliberately conservative, and that's precisely why they survive. The 580CK came with a choice of two Case-built inline four-cylinders, the G188D diesel, 188 cubic inches or 3.1 liters, naturally aspirated indirect injection, producing roughly 52 gross horsepower at just 2,100 RPM through a Rusa Master rotary injection pump, or a 188 cubic inch gasoline engine, making around 55 to 57 gross horsepower. 52 horsepower. 2,100 RPM. That engine was barely working, and Case used that same G188D across the 480CK, the 480B, the 530CK, the 580B, and on into the 580C, which means decades of production volume, decades of parts availability, and decades of mechanics who knew it inside out. Buyers had three transmission choices: a 4-speed or 8-speed synchronized mechanical shuttle running through a single 11-inch dry clutch, or the new 4-speed power shuttle with a torque converter and hydraulic clutch packs. That power shuttle was a first for the Case backhoe line, and the torque converter took the shock loading off the drive line every time an operator changed direction. Simple engine, low stress, massive parts commonality, a driveline designed to absorb abuse. That's not a machine built to a price. That's a machine built to last, and 60 years later, they're still out there proving it. Number 1. JCB3 CX Sitemaster. There was never any real doubt. The story starts in 1953 in Rochester, Staffordshire, in a former cheese factory where Joseph Cyril Bamford built the Mark I, the first machine to bring hydraulic power to construction equipment in this form. In its first full year of production, in 1954, JCB built 35 of them. 35. The 3C arrived in 1963, introducing side shift for the backhoe. The 3C2 followed in 1967 with a new cab and sliding door. The 3C3 came in 1977 with a larger cab and a more powerful powertrain, and became one of the most famous machines of its generation. In 1979, JCB added the Max-Track axle and the Synchro Shuttle transmission. Then came 1980 and a £24 million investment in the launch of the 3CX. JCB itself describes that launch as the real catalyst for the growth of its backhoe business. In October 1981 came the version that defined the entire category, the 3CX Sitemaster. It brought a 6-in-1 clamshell front bucket with fold-over forks and a telescopic dipper arm with a lifting hook. That combination meant one machine could dig, load, grade, grab, carry pallets and crane materials, and the modern backhoe loader, as the world now understands it, was born. The improvements never stopped. A new chassis and revised styling in 1991. In 2010, the ECO backhoe loaders arrived with JCB's fuel-efficient EcoMax engines, the JCB DieselMax development saving up to 11% in fuel costs. Today's 3CX Pro is, according to JCB, the fastest backhoe loader in the world, capable of up to 50 kilometers per hour. Now, the numbers that put this machine in a category of its own. It took JCB more than 20 years to build its first 50,000 backhoes. It took 59 years to reach 500,000 in 2012, at which point a backhoe was coming off a JCB production line in the UK, India or Brazil every 3 minutes. The 750,000th came in 2020, and it took less than 13 more years to build the next 500,000. In January 2025, JCB celebrated its 1 millionth backhoe loader. At that celebration, a cavalcade of 16 backhoes spanned from a 1954 Mark I to a 2025 3CX. And there was 100-year-old Ken Harrison, who joined JCB as a welder in 1952 when just 29 people worked the shop floor, and who is one of the last known living members of the team that built the very first JCB backhoes. He retired in 1988, after 36 years. More than 7 decades after the Mark I, the backhoe loader remains the 4th most popular machine in the global construction equipment sales league table. And the 3CX is the machine that got it there. That's not just the most reliable backhoe ever built. That's the machine that made an entire category permanent. Which of these have you run? Which one refused to die on you? Or which one let you down? Tell me in the comments, because the operators always know things the brochures never printed.